Hello everyone and welcome to today's event, which is hosted by Totally Renewable Phillip Island in collaboration with Phillip Island Landcare Group as part of the Sustainability Festival in Bass Coast. So very exciting times. And our event today, of course, is Island Bush Care, Local Tree Planting Stories. So we're going to hear some fantastic projects that are underway. But before we do that, I'd just first of all like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we're on, the Bunurong people, and our neighbours, the Gunai Kurnai. Pay tribute to, I guess, leaders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge that these lands were never ceded. So I think that's very fitting as we start to talk about land care and caring for land, that we acknowledge the people who have been here for so many thousands of years. And on that note, without further ado, I will introduce David Rooks, who is going to, I understand, host the event from here. And David, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Zoe, for that introduction. Yes, my name is David Rooks. I'm the president of the Phillip Island Landcare Group. And next to me is my wife, Bhavani Rooks, who is organised, who is also a member of the Phillip Island Landcare Group and participates or volunteers with TRPI. So I'll just get my wife first to introduce, I guess, her background with TRPI and how it's linked to Phillip Island Landcare Group.
Thanks. So I was a member of Phillip Island Landcare Group, and then when TRPI first got going 3 years ago, I was approached to come on board with that and ended up being part of the carbon farming group. Then became the coordinator of TRPI, and now Zoe, you are the coordinator, and I'm back to the regenerative farming group. So that's my history there.
Thank you. We're also going to be introducing another person later, but we'll hold on for that. But Debbie's smiling over here next to us. We're going to be talking today about Island Bush Care. It's a new program that Phillip Island, in conjunction with TRPI, is organising, and you can become an Island Bush Carer here on Phillip Island and in San Remo. We're quite excited about this program. And I guess the first question that comes out is, why do we want to do this program? We'll talk more about what the program is, but first up, why do we want to do this program of Island Bush Care? And I'll go to Bhavani. Why do people want to get involved in an Island Bush Care program?
Well, people have a sense of belonging to the island, and it's quite well defined. So they have this sense of wanting to see the regeneration of the island and maintain what's there as well as enhance what's there. So I think it starts with that sense of belonging to the island.
Yep, and I'm also going to add to that. People want to, I guess, give something back to the environment in the sense that we keep taking from the environment, and it's an opportunity to give back. So some people want to do it formally through a carbon offset program. Some people want to do it more informally. But if they can give something back to the land that they're on, it makes them feel good. And so that's one of the reasons why people will be doing this Island Bush Care program. So there's two programs we're going to be talking about. There's the Island Bush Care program, which is a Plant a Day. And there's another program called Island Bush Care Voluntary Carbon Offset. Two separate programs, but the end result's the same. First, we're going to introduce the Voluntary Carbon Offset program. How did that come about from a point of view of being an Island Bush Care?
So it's been quite a long journey for the Voluntary Carbon Offset program, because when TRPI first started, we were looking at trying to create an offset within soil carbon on the island, and it's very challenging to do soil carbon with small farms when you've got to do a lot of costs in soil testings and things like that. And we began to look at the inset in a voluntary inset within the local community, but there was a lack of understanding by introducing the new terminology which exists to inset in your local geographical region. So it took a couple of years of working through different ideas and a journey, and we finally came up with, if we offset straight into vegetation, which does increase soil carbon as well as in the soil, but as well as increasing carbon into the actual vegetation itself, then that was quite simple and visible for people, and they easily understood. So that's how we ended up with the program, and of course in conjunction with Landcare, who already do all the plantings, a lot of plantings on the island.
Yep, fantastic. And from Phillip Island Landcare's point of view, with the program that we're running, which is a Plant a Day under the Island Bush Care, is I think it was a simple case of people wanting to give back to the environment, and they wanted to offset their emissions, and so they chose to do this simple program we've got going, where for every plant, for every day, you donate one plant to Landcare, who will then put that plant in the ground. So again, it's just a way of giving back to the earth that we live on. So that's how the two programs came about. We're going to hear a bit more about the programs in detail now. We'll start with the Island Bush Care Voluntary Carbon Offset Program. So Bhavani, do you want to talk to us a bit more about what is that program? How does it work?
So as you stated, you've got people who are wanting to give back, and in the news everywhere now, they talk about your carbon footprint, or the fact that you're producing emissions, the fact that we've got too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere above us, which is creating that heating effect. So to draw down into the earth, the simplest way is the photosynthesis. So people put plants in the ground and you help to draw that carbon dioxide down. So we understand the need for that now, and there's a lot of information to say this will be the simplest and fastest way for that. So people are looking to offset. There's certain industries that we're having a government requirement, but there's a lot of people out there just wanting to do their own offset for their house, for their small business, for their car, for their lifestyle. So this gives them an opportunity to offset their lifestyle, their business, their car, and we've given them a choice. So do you want me to go into how now?
Well, we might just jump to the other program, and then we'll interview Deb and talk about that. So the other program, which is a Plant a Day, or you can do a plant a week, or you can do your own technique, I guess, to donate. So what happens with the Island Bush Care Plant a Day program is you might want to donate for every day of the year one plant, so 365 plants a year, or you might want to do one plant for every week, 52 plants a year. The other option is, if you're a business, you might want to do it linked to some sort of sale you do, like every haircut that you do, or every time you sell a jacket, you might say, I might then donate 10 plants or one plant, whatever it may be. So it's your formula, it's your choice. And I guess the important thing is that you're donating that money to purchase plants to then get them in the ground. So they're the two techniques. So we've got Deb here, so we're going to introduce Deb Leonard. So Deb Leonard is from Leonard and Associates, and Deb Leonard has been involved starting off with the Island Bush Care program with voluntary carbon offset. And I'm going to get Bhavani and Deb to talk to each other a bit about how this came about and why you're doing it, things like that. But if you want to talk more, about what has to happen through the voluntary carbon offset program.
Well, it started with an email from Deb saying I'd like to offset my carbon emissions from her business, which was great because it stimulated me to finally get to the end of my journey of a program. So I looked for carbon calculators that are online, and there are many different options, and on the website we've given one option where you can actually just go in and you put your rough estimate of your lifestyle or your business into it, and it counts a formula for you and tells you how much carbon you have produced for that year annually. I'd gone and done some work based on formulas that CSIRO had put out on plants and how much emissions that they can draw down, so that we worked out that 1 tonne of carbon CO2 emission equivalent was 7 plants per year. So then I went back to Deb and said, hey, Deb, would you like to work with me here and try the calculator? And does that work for you? So how did that go?
Yeah, well, I was actually surprised at how easy it was. When I first emailed you, I thought that it would just be more complicated, but yeah, it was actually amazing how easy it is to calculate what your annual emissions are, and then just offset through Phillip Island Landcare, and it was also a lot cheaper than I thought it would be as well. So yeah, that's been really encouraging, and I'd encourage all other businesses and individuals to try it as well. It's quite a simple process.
So Deb found that it was 7 tonnes for your
business? So for our business, we run a small office, and we have already taken steps to reduce our carbon emissions overall, and then it turned out the remaining emissions, were 7 tonnes of emissions per year. So we have offset that, and I actually, which turned out only to be around $100 to offset. So I actually doubled it because I thought, well, my business has been up and running for almost 13 years now. So we've got 13 years of emissions that we should pay off as well. And we'll keep doing it, keep calculating and keep paying off to offset our emissions every year.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah. So the calculation we've used it's $2. Every plant that you're going to put in the ground, it's going to cost $2. That includes the cost of the plant from Button Bush Plant, which is our local supplier and local nursery. And it also includes stakes and guards to protect the plant. So for Deb's calculations, as she said, she emits 7 carbon equivalent tons, carbon equivalent, and she wanted to double it. So that comes to 14. And then you multiply that by 7 because it's 7 plants for every ton. And 14 times 7, if I recall, is 98. And then you multiply that by 2. And
$2.
So $2 per plant. So it's effectively 98 plants that you're going to put into the ground for next year, which is great. And the cost is 98 plants times $2. So it's $196 that Deb has already paid into the Phillip Island Landcare Group account. And so what happens from there? Now the money's in there. Do you want me to go on and explain what happens, or do you want to explain what happens?
Well, that's Landcare.
There we go. So this is where you get to utilise Landcare. So that money's now gone into our account, and we want to get those trees in the ground. And we like to plant trees in the winter months. Sort of from May to August, September is the best time we like to plant. And the reason is because once that plant's in the ground, we don't have to attend to it anymore by watering it. It allows the plant to get established during the winter months, and then it's ready to, go through the struggles of that really hot summer that we had and the hot, dry winds. So our goal for Deb will be to get that plant, those 96 plants in the ground, 98 plants in the ground next year during the winter months. And we invite, of course, Deb to come out and be part of that planting. And yeah, that's basically, that brings it to that point. All right.
So when you say the trees will be planted next year, whereabouts will they be planted?
Yep. So the plants can be planted either on private land or public land. Landcare has a number of members who have farms where they're keen to get more trees in the ground. So we can do a lot of infill planting where they've already got established biolinks or corridors, vegetation corridors, and we can top them up. So we've got a number of landholders which we know are keen to get the plant in the ground. If it's not a private landholder, then it can be public. With public, we just have to get permission from the landholder, and that may be council, it may be Western Port Water, if you want to call them public, it could be DELP. So there's different, I guess, departments or different people that own the land, and you'd have to seek their permission first.
And what is to stop the landowner after they plant trees, changing their mind in the future and taking them out again?
Yep. So it's an excellent question, and that's, I guess, I might refer to Bhavani here because they do have carbon credit systems which are quite legal, and you have to be very careful with regards to putting the trees in the ground and what happens if they get removed, where this program is different.
So this is a voluntary program. So basically it ends up more like a donation. And in effect, there's nothing to stop the farmer doing that. However, as part of regenerative agriculture, which is all farming is moving towards, there is a need to plant trees and have shelter belts. So not only do you want to increase your pasture health, you want to increase protection of your pasture from winds, from sun, from heavy rains. So every farmer actually needs those shelter belts or tree clusters, and they need diversity. And they've done a lot more studies, and everyone's under the understanding that having deep-rooted plants near your pasture is actually a benefit. So from the farmer's point of view, they want the trees in the ground because it helps them, and they want to keep them there too.
Okay, good.
So it's it's very unlikely that farmers will clear the vegetation anymore. That was the thing in the past. You would be unfortunate if the plants don't survive for whatever reason, if animals eat them, or if they don't survive for the weather, for whatever. But unfortunately, it is a voluntary contribution.
And what kind of trees are you planting?
Well, we plant local trees, so we get the seeds or the bush bank we get from there, and so all the trees will be local, and we plant according to the area as well. So there are what's called EVCs, ecological vegetation class, and each different area of Phillip Island, as across Victoria, has a particular class of plants it likes to have or has grown up there, I guess, before European people came along. And so we try to match that as best we can. And so it'll be plants that are suitable for that area.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Well, not so much a question, but more of a statement. I do, I guess, as David was saying earlier, it's important, I think, both as individuals and businesses to be putting more back into the environment than what we're taking out. And I just wanted to say that from a business point of view, I think quite separate from doing the right thing by the environment, there's a huge benefit to being able to offset your emissions. I think more and more consumers are looking for ethical and environmentally responsible companies. And if businesses can promote themselves to be a carbon neutral company, then they're going to really see an increase in their client base and an improvement in their profitability. So it's really great that this program is available to enable businesses to do that. And it's also great that we can contribute to the local environment and have trees planted locally.
There's certainly a benefit to the general mental health of people with knowing that, and even like for locally especially, you can drive past, like when you come and plant your plants next year, and some of your staff may even choose to come, they'll be able to drive past and say, see that? I helped there.
That's great.
And that leads into, I guess, some of the other benefits of becoming part of this program. And it is a brand new program we're launching. I do like what Pavani just said, that it's a feel-good thing. You want to do something for the environment. We keep hearing about climate change and all those things. This is something you can do, and it's something local, and you can really see the change. So, Deb, to help support you in making your decision, there will be a listing on our website, so there's a little bit of marketing there. We provide a sticker, so you'll be able to put that on your front door, which says that you're an Island Bush carer, and a proud one. So that's great. And you also become a member of Phillip Island Landcare automatically. So that's a good thing. You get to know about what's going on with regards to the Landcare Group. So there are benefits in that respect from that marketing point of view.
Absolutely.
People like to think that, the businesses they're dealing with are a sustainable business.
That's good. Thank you.
So we also launched this program recently with the A Plant a Day program with Kelly. Kelly's from Lux Isle Clothing Store. And she was the first Plant a Day program person, and Deb here is the first person with the carbon offset program. So there's two different programs, but the end result's the same. The end result, or the start's the same. You want to do something, you go through a different process, but the end result's the same. It's trees in the ground. We've recently put it all up on the website. So this is our new website. We're very proud of our new website. My wife and myself, our daughter, has put this together, Jasmine Rooks, and she's done a magnificent job. So under the Get Involved section is the Island Bush Care programs. There's the Plant a Day and there's the Carbon Offset program. So we'll have a look at Plant a Day first. And so if you're interested in getting involved, you can send people to our website, and it talks about our first Island Bush carers. We've got Lux Isles and we've got Deb. So we're very proud of that. Got to start somewhere. Now, Kelly's already done her planting. She did her planting early this year. She came out to Heather Davidson's farm and did her planting. And there's some information she got in the paper for it as well. And there's some photos of the day. They're the things that you get. You get your website listing, you get your social media, you get your shop window sticker, and you get a planting day participation where you get involved to do it, and you get a membership as well. Now to sign up, you can fill out this form. Very simple form, and you can actually pay then directly. And there's some further Q&As at the bottom. So who can become an island bush carer? Or anyone from any individual community group or business from Phillip Island or San Remo. Where will the trees be planted? As Deb said, they can be on public land or private land. Can I claim a tax deduction? Yes, we can supply a tax invoice with GST. When will my trees be planted? As I said, mostly May through August is ideal. When can I sign up? So you can sign up any time of the year. We normally place an order at Martin Bushbank each November for the following winter. However, you can register any time. And if we can get a late order of plants, we'll put you in the closest winter, but it might get pushed out to the following winter. And how do you make payment? We have an online system, so you can make payment online. Though if the amount's unknown, you can't enter an amount, so then you need to do a bank transfer. And this talks, the last point here talks about that it's a voluntary program. So that's the a plant a day program. And now I'll show you the carbon offset program. That looks very the same because a lot of it's the same. And this time we've got program information where we spoke about how it's 7 plants for each tonne of carbon emissions. And the calculations there, and there's Deb, all ready to go to do her planting, which we'll do organise next year. That's Deb's story. And I think, Deb, you've also got other people interested, or you might be doing your home.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely do my home. We're in the process of moving house at the moment, so I'll have to work out what our emissions for home are. And I'm also on the committee of the San Remo preschool. So we've actually just organised, just this week, we've calculated the annual emissions used by the preschool, and we've made a deposit to Landcare this week to offset those emissions.
Can you tell us how much the emissions were? I'd be interested to know.
Yeah, 23 tonnes a year. And yeah, we have put in our program that'll be done by the committee every year. Yep. And they will continue to offset. So I think that might be your first community organisation.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's very exciting. We didn't even know that.
No.
Yeah, I've been meaning to email you, sorry.
That's great.
That's good news. There we go. The word will get out, and all those kids will be able to do it in the future.
Yeah.
That's
And when we
fantastic.
come to plant, they could come along with their families.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love having kids at our plantings. So when you calculate your carbon emissions, there's 2 different ways you can do it. So Bhavani, do you want to talk about a more official way that can be done, and then a more of an unofficial way?
Okay, so there's 2 more official ways. One is you can actually pay for an audit and get somebody to come in and ask you questions and find details and get it. And we've given a person that we use, Reese Freeman, and that's available. Or you can go to the one website that we've offered. There's heaps out there. You can just Google carbon calculators. But this one we've found quite beneficial, and Deb found it quite easy to use. And it's a carbon calculator. You do log in and register. And then once you've registered, you just pop in, as you see down the right-hand side, you can just pop in amounts. And it gives you prompts as to questions. So it'll ask you how much paper you use, what's your electricity amount, how much water, your vehicle, if that's related, if you're going to do vehicle, what kind of food is eaten and how much, like how much you do in your shopping, how much travel there is. So it's quite intense, but it prompts you with every question. So it's pretty easy. And then it comes out with down this right-hand side, these it will tally and give you amounts. Yeah. So that's that.
Right, so that's one way.
So that's the official.
And I also found that really interesting because it does give you an idea of where your carbon emissions are. I found that the majority of our carbon emissions were from electricity. Yeah. So if we can work to reduce those, then that'll be beneficial as well. Yeah. That's our focus area for the moment.
Yeah, great. And then if you really don't want to look at that or take the time, we've created some packages, and they're just estimated packages of a quiet lifestyle pack. So it's less of carbon emissions. There's the easy lifestyle pack, so a little bit more active. Then we've gone into an active lifestyle or the big lifestyle. So you know if you're a big user of carbons, and most people know that these days because it's talked about a lot. So if you have a lot of toys that use fuel, for example, that's more into the big lifestyle, or you have a couple of houses, so things like that. So you can just choose a package. Because it is a voluntary program, there's not the strict need to be exact. We're not trying to prove to anyone that we've got an exact amount. We're just trying to really, it's from that feel-good side of things to feel like we're giving back to the earth that we've been taking from for so long.
All right. I know we've got Lisa Wangman there, and I don't know if Lisa Wangman, you've got any questions, or Zoe as the host. I think we've covered everything we were going to talk about. Unless you guys have a question that you might help us share what we haven't covered.
Not a question, more of a comment. So about permanence with the trees, the Phillip Island Landcare Group actually everyone who does a project actually has to sign a 10-year management agreement. And on that agreement, it does say that they have to keep their trees stock free. So have to be fenced off from cattle, sheep, whatnot. They have to make every reasonable effort to keep them free from fire. Obviously, you can't if there's a raging fire, but, you know, clear laneways, access and whatnot. And that they have to be kept weed free and maintained so that there'd be less of a chance for fire and things like that to erase that permanence. So there is the surety going with Phillip Island Landcare Group that you actually do have those 10 years. I think with the mandatory programs or the government certified programs, you have to have 25-year permanence, and there's a lot of hoops to jump through. And most of the time when you offset with companies that offer that, it's not even in Australia, let alone your local area. So this is such a great program where you can actually give back to where you live. So well done, guys.
I think
and that's a good point to make. So thanks for that.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that from a personal perspective as well, in that I had a business back in Melbourne, which I actually went through the formal auditing process and offset last year, I think. And I found exactly what Lisa was just referring to, which is I didn't have much actual consumption or output in terms of, I think I was around the maybe 4 to 5 tons, something like that. But again, to buy formal offsets through the fully certified programs, i.e. not voluntary programs, the best I could get was, I think it was a wind farm in India, because nothing in Australia would come in at such a small figure that I could actually offset locally. So not even within Australia, let alone within the community or region that you live in. So for me, the idea of this program where you actually can see the trees grow and point out, you know, to my daughter in the back seat as we drive past, that that's why we're doing it and that's why it's so important, and have that transparency around the end, the beginning and the end point is so fantastic. So I think this is just amazing. Well done.
Great, thank you. Any final comments from you, Deb or Giovanni?
No, just get involved.
Yeah, get the word out there and get people on board, because it's a great opportunity for us to do something locally here, right on Phillip Island and San Remo. So thank you for everyone, and that's the end of our presentation.
And thanks to the three of you as well for coming and talking to us today and sharing this program, which will absolutely spread the word and get it out there, because I think it's fundamental and a great source of pride for all of us. So thanks again for your time and for everyone who came along today. And we will actually be popping some of this up on our TRPI YouTube channel, which is a work in progress, and it will be seen around the traps as well. So thanks again, and enjoy the day.
Thanks, Zoe.
Thank you. Thanks, Zoe.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa.